Hello and welcome to short highlights of the 85th edition of Gent-Wevelgem in Flanders fields. The riders rolled out at just after 11 o'clock under the Menin Gate in Ypres, ready for the ride out to the coast and then back in to the absolutely crucial part of Gent-Wevelgem, as it is every year, on the Helligen, the steep cobbled climbs, and the Plugstreets that were in between them, sandwiching either side those Plugstreets with the three ascents of the Kemmelberg from both directions too. And then the final run-in back into Wevelgem for the finish, the tactical final 35 kilometres after that really tough Hellingen in the middle. Early on, we had a breakaway of 12 riders formed. It was sort of merged of two different groups. In there, a former winner in Greg van Avermaet, who was there too. Behind, the whittling down process had started, particularly as we came into the first of the cobbled climbs, and the rain did not ease up all day in this, which became a classic edition of Gent-Wevelgem. Constant rain, about 8 degrees, and really tough racing conditions. This was the first ascent of the Kemmelberg after they'd been up the Scherpenberg and the Banneberg already. The descent really technical and testy on the way back down. And as is always the way with Gent-Wevelgem, the regrouping and the tactical sort out between those cobbled climbs. Mads Pedersen was very impressive, riding his way across to what was the original breakaway. They look back to see the former world champion coming his way across as well. Another one who was particularly impressive was Fabio Jakobsen, the European champion, using this as a big hit out. Didn't quite make it today, but had a really good ride. Very impressive as well, in a way that we might not have expected him to be. Things were coming back together at the front end for the second ascent of the crucial cobbled Kemmelberg. And it was here that Jumbo-Visma decided to try and finish the race off. It was Wout van Aert driving clear, as we'd seen him do on the final ascent of the Kemmelberg 1 year before. And behind him, he had Christophe Laporte. Those two went clear. The question would be, who could jump across to them? How could they close it up? This was the chasing group behind, being led by Matej Mohoric. They could still see the two clockwork bananas, as they're affectionately known, out front. Wout van Aert and Christophe Laporte going clear as they went back over the Kemmelberg the other way. And the chasing group behind was doing everything they could to try and come back to them. The final ascent of the Kemmelberg saw Wout van Aert just distancing Christophe Laporte a little as he pressed on over the pedals over the top of the cobbled climb. And with 35k to go in the run-in back to Wevelgem, the two Jumbo-Visma riders hooked up. They went back under the Menin Gate in Ypres and ran in to Wevelgem together. And the gap, unbelievably, just seemed to keep growing on the big group that was chasing them. There were lots of big sprinters in there, including Tim Merlier and others, Olaf Koy, and unfortunately, for the riders who were trying to escape them, it wouldn't go all their own way. Matej Mohoric slipping out on the roundabout and finding himself out of that leading group and out of contention for the podium, because right now that group knew the only thing they were battling was for the third spot on the podium. Laporte and Van Aert had gone clear and were trying to work out between them which one of these two would win the race. Decision had been made, and it was Christophe Laporte's turn, the Frenchman for Jumbo-Visma, to ride across the line just ahead of Wout van Aert. But what a brilliant ride by these two teammates in an epic edition of Gent-Wevelgem in Flanders fields. Conditions that really brought out the best of the strong men. And talking of strong men, Sepp van Marke coming through for the second division Israel Premier Tech team, and a great ride by Sepp van Marke in sparkling form today, looking really good. But Jumbo-Visma, and these two in particular, a long way ahead of the rest. And when I say a long way, nearly 2 minutes back to Sepp van Marke, who led in Frederik Frison, Mads Pedersen and Mikkel Biel, two strong Danes in 5th and 6th, and that would lead to the podium and the celebration between the two Jumbo-Visma riders, and Sepp van Marke with his daughter on the podium too, enjoying being back where he has been so often in his career. What a fantastic edition of Gent-Wevelgem in Flanders fields, in epic testing conditions across the 261 kilometres.